Hey everybody, what's up? It's Joel, aka The Daily Guru, and it's time for another edition of Something Old, Something New. Today for Something Old, we're going back to one of my all-time favorites. Honestly, I can barely remember my life before this record was a part of it. It's 1976, and it's the self-titled debut from the Ramones. While there certainly were a number of the elements of punk rock that you can find in a lot of bands that preceded the Ramones, the reality is that nothing could have prepared the world for this stripped-down, high-octane, three-chord assault that is the Ramones. With more than a dozen songs clocking in at under a half hour combined, there was simply no precedent for this sort of economical musical anarchy. And it would be this record that would serve as the blueprint for the entire punk rock explosion of 1977. When it comes down to it, few albums from any genre have as amazing an opener as Blitzkrieg Bop, and from the very second it begins, the guitar of Johnny Ramone instantly grabs the listener and he never lets go. It was also Johnny Ramone who put an entirely new category into the idea of a guitar god, and there's simply never been another player quite like him. It's also the way that Dee Dee Ramone's bass line seemed to almost stomp around the track, kind of stalking the listener, becoming so intimidating and adding an amazing amount of tension to every single song. Perhaps more than anything though, it was the vocal style of Joey Ramone that truly set the standard for the punk rock sound. He makes absolutely no apologies for his limited vocal range, but it works perfectly on every single song. And at the same time, while most people try and write off punk rock as mindless noise, there's a message, there's a melody, there's an intent behind every single one of these songs. It's the fact that neither time nor repeated listenings can diminish the energy on these tracks in any way, and they're just as good every single time you hear them. It's been scientifically proven that it's impossible to not like the Ramones. So if somehow you don't have this record, go do your duty as a human and get yourself a copy. Okay everybody, today for something new, we're gonna check out the brand new release from Guided by Voices, and it's called Let's Go Eat the Factory. There was a time in the 1990s when Guided by Voices were the coolest underground band you wish you've heard of, and they made some of the most uniquely amazing music of that time period. But as that decade came to a close, they went through a number of lineup changes. This album represents the reuniting of the core of that group when they were at their best. The first thing that hits you about this album is it definitely has a lo-fi sound. It's the approach they went after in the mid-1990s before they got that almost frustratingly clean sound. The purposeful slop is back in full form, but it's also that highlights the overall inconsistent nature of Guided by Voices throughout their entire career. While there are certainly a number of songs on this album that explode through the speakers, there's just as many that are outright skippable. There are a lot of instances where there's this great tone, this great mood, this great energy building up, and it's completely destroyed by some odd change in the pace or some jarring sonic diversion. And while some of the songs on this album are definitely purposely unfinished, the ones that aren't but are still on this record really shouldn't be there. But the fact remains, Robert Pollard is one of the most talented and original musicians of his entire generation. And this record is a refreshing reminder that there is still a place for real rock and roll music in the modern music scene. So while this record is far from perfect, it is a good listen and worth checking out. So on the buy it or borrow it, Let's Go Eat the Factory is a borrow it. So that's what I got for you guys today. I hope you dug it. If you did, go ahead and click subscribe, go ahead and leave a comment, go ahead and click like, whatever you want to do. Remember that if you leave a comment or you share this video via my Facebook page, you're automatically entered in a contest to win at least 4 of the records I recommend this month at the end of the month. You can email me if you want at thedailyguru@gmail.com, and check out my website where every single day I talk about the greatest music of all time at thedailyguru.net. You can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Tumblr right here, and we'll see you guys again on Wednesday.